Russell T Davies has finally broken his silence in regards to whether or not Ncuti Gatwa is going to be continuing on after the 15th and potentially final series for this incarnation of Doctor Who that he resurrected way back in the cut. But that RTD that was writing the scripts for Christopher Eccleston definitely isn't the same RTD, well, maybe ideologically this time around for Ncuti Gatwa. So Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies punts on question about whether Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor will continue after the second season, because last time we talked about this, it looks like, yeah, there's going to be zero hands on deck moving forward. Whatever they're going to have filmed is what they're going to have moving forward, especially with Disney looking for escape hatches. And the Doctor Who showrunner, Russell T Davies, completely punted on the question about whether Ncuti Gatwa's turn as Doctor will continue following the show's second season. During an interview with Variety at San Diego Comic-Con, Davies was asked, how much longer will this era last? That's what everyone wants to know. We've got 2 under our belts now. How many more seasons will we get from you all? Well, we know from Millie Gibson, well, nothing else, okay? Like, she's totally done. But as for Ncuti, yeah, no, he's got like a movie or something. He's probably got like a cameo, and he's probably keeping his schedule open in case Barbie has another sequel where he could just be black gay Ken in the background. Davies responded, we've shot 2 seasons. That's only halfway through, and we're only halfway through season 2. We've got all those months supposed to come. That's a long ways off, so no decisions yet, and we're happy making it at the moment. We hope it continues forever, right? Is the audience, though? No? Why isn't anybody applauding us? We're stunning. We're brave. We've got all the boxes checked. Don't worry about it. It's great. Variety's interviewer then retorted, so you guys have signed on for 10 seasons is what you're telling me? Ncuti Gatwa, who plays the Doctor, responded, of course, sure. Millie Gibson, who played the Doctor's companion, Ruby Sunday, also added, well, I'm not doing any other work right now. Oof. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully by leaving this beleaguered production, it doesn't blot your resume too much. Davies then added, lock the doors, that's it. Oh yeah, see, she's never going to leave. But we're never going to use her again. Davies punting on the question comes in the wake of the rumor that the Walt Disney Company might terminate their relationship with the BBC over the show, and that the entire show could be scrapped after the second season. The rumor came after Deadline's Max Goldbart, who reported that a source close to the Doctor Who production informed him that Disney will need to make a decision on whether it continues forward with the show, and depending on what that decision is, it could affect the status of Gatwa as the Doctor. Goldbart further added, the source predicts the final episode has been left open-ended, with the possibility remaining that Gatwa could regenerate into his successor if he chooses to exit. Okay, not only could Disney pull out, but another source believes the entire show could be scrapped following its already greenlit second season. Oh yeah, and the way that that was greenlit is a little bit sketchy in and of itself, knowing that, you know, a traditional Doctor Who season is not 8 episodes, and instead this one was bisected into much more traditionally shorter seasons to just see what we're going to end up with. Goldbart detailed noises that it may not last beyond its initial 2 seasons are already reverberating around international TV circles, and one source close to the production tells us that they feel its future hangs in the balance already. But yeah, no, of course, we haven't seen the audience reception to the second season. Who knows? Maybe during this off period, maybe during all of these announcements of the different spin-offs, that'll be what revitalizes the franchise, and that we won't be seeing an entire season setting the low record marks in terms of viewership moving forward. That's what they're going to need. But you would think that potentially Russell T Davies would have more to say about this instead of just simply throwing his hands up in disbelief that nobody is tuning into his very progressive, very stunning, very brave show, especially when he goes on unprompted screeds like claiming that trans rights are a million times more important than what's happening with Doctor Who. Oh, okay, cool. So again, if anybody had any aspersions that this guy wasn't a dyed-in-the-wall ideologue and that he didn't check his talent at the door when he signed on to come back to the franchise, that should throw out any concerns that you have moving forward. My personal ideology, my personal politics are more important than my job. And you wonder why Disney is looking for a way out. Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies recently claimed that trans rights are a million times more important than what's happening with Doctor Who. And for all of these freaks, okay, who always champion, oh, trans rights are human rights, which ones are you missing? And which human rights are you looking for? The right to healthcare, oh, where you have to force somebody else to provide a service for you? And what specifically do trans people need that regular people are getting? What's the difference? Oh, you can't define any of that stuff because you just simply think and commiserate in the slogans. During an appearance at San Diego Comic-Con alongside Star Trek Alex Kurtzman, I can't believe that was an actual panel. Two of the biggest franchise-ruining bastards sat together at one table to gloat about their failures. Wow, the self-awareness was registering in the negatives. Davies was asked by moderator Keisha Hatchett, sure, with so many online opinions and fans having very strong feelings about your projects, how do you play that balancing act of, yes, we want to do something that fans love, but also focusing on the story and getting it right and telling the best stories you possibly can? Why does that have to be a dichotomy, idiot? Something that the fans love and the best story you can possibly tell. Wouldn't that, at least for a talented or a good writer, you could just even set the bottom right there, wouldn't that go hand in hand? Something that the fans love and something to the best of your abilities? But, oh, we know that that's a softball set up for Russell to go on a screed. I don't go online much. I press X to doubt on that. Maybe I should. Maybe that's wrong. I'm talking about Twitter as a portal online. I don't feel particularly safe as a gay man. Oh, shut your mouth. Maybe you're not taking your PrEP and that's why you don't particularly feel safe. Increasingly, I think that it's worse and worse in society. Yeah, this is the type of unhinged behavior that I would expect from somebody who was terminally online, not somebody who is, I don't go online much. I see what's said out there. If you don't go online, what do you see what's said out there? That's a long discussion for another time, but I'm not sure I can ever be a part of that. That's tricky. So that stops me from going online in many ways. That just also means that you don't really have strong conviction in your beliefs, but you definitely believe them. You just can't defend them in the crucible of open ideas. We could spend a whole life on that. So I get my agent telling me what's going on, right? Sure, my friend tells me about what goes on online. I get people kind of here inevitably. There's a kind of osmosis about the culture wars or whatever kind of creep through. To be honest, in terms of online activity, I'm much more interested in what's happening. What a bunch of nothing, okay? No wonder your scripts look the way they do. Then address Doctor Who. I think Doctor Who's fine. I think there's things happening in the culture wars, particularly with trans rights. I'm sorry, we're talking about Doctor Who, but if you want to go on your tranny binge, go for it. That are a million times more important than what's happening on Doctor Who. He continued. It's getting worse. It's terrifying. Can you cite one example? One example. Well, we already know that you're mentally compromised by thinking that Doctor Who's fine the way that it is, but the trans rights and that stuff, it's just a million times worse. Where, Russell? Can you point on the globe specifically where we're talking? Kurtzman, then chimed in with his room temperature IQ. We're fighting some of those battles on the show just to buy the representation. Well, that's kind of telling in and of itself. We're fighting those battles on the show and nobody's watching, and that we're just trying to shame people into tuning into. Is that the strategy? Well, it's not working. He's then admitted he does it on purpose. Oh boy, here you go. Unhinged behavior. I did that on purpose. You must do that on purpose. Of course, Kurtzman concurred. Davies continued. Absolutely. That's part of the battle. We need to force our own personal politics regardless if the fans like it or not. That's what we mean by if the fans are going to like a story or if we're going to do our best work. God damn it. None of this is surprising to anyone who's paid attention to how Davies marketed Doctor Who and what he did to the show, as reported by Radio Times during an appearance at BAFTA and an event called A Life in Pictures. Yes, one of the most self-flating events RTD could be a part of. Davies admitted he writes about being a gay man, and this is always what happens, man. The solipsistic nature of these ideologues, it always comes to the detriment of the project that they're working on. Now, at time of recording, we're a couple of days removed to the conclusion of Season 2 of House of the Dragon, and for a lot of people, Season 2 ended on a bit of a dud. Now, I haven't watched it quite yet. I'm waiting for a 4K release, or just, getting access to the series. I'll just leave it at that. The two most derided episodes of this season, and the four most derided episodes of the entire show in totality, have been written by one particular writer, Sarah Hess, who is also an executive producer on the show. She wrote the season finale. She also wrote episode 2 of season 2, which has some wonky scenes in it, and she also wrote one of my least favorite episodes of season 1, episode 6, after the time jump, where there was just a bunch of weird and perplexing questions, like how did Daemon's second wife get all the way out for Vhagar to just light her up like a Christmas tree while she was in the throes of a stillbirth that would eventually claim her life? That's a interesting decision to make. And then she also wrote episode 9, which is arguably still the worst episode of the season, where she decided to write this super empowering girl boss scene where you had Rhaenys bust through the floor of the dragon pit, killing thousands of small folk, but then didn't have her pull the trigger on Meleys, ending the war before it could start because she couldn't, in the words of Sarah Hess, kill a fellow mother. She's a feminist, letting her own personal politics cloud her writing for the negative of the show. And we're seeing this right here very prominently with Russell T Davies. Whenever you have a writer do this type of stuff, it's never good for the overall health of the show. And we're seeing that because instead of having to answer questions that aren't spoon-fed to them or about the writing of the project, you have to talk about the overall health and longevity of the show. Because the moment that you start to sacrifice the quality of the show for your own personal politics is the moment that you don't have a show to write about for much longer. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.